The strange thing about people with deep intelligence is that they rarely look the way people expect. Most people imagine intelligence as something obvious. A person who speaks quickly, answers confidently, wins arguments easily, makes the room notice how sharp they are. But deep intelligence often looks much quieter than that. It does not always announce itself. It does not always rush to prove itself. And sometimes, it can even look like the opposite of intelligence to people who only understand noise. A deeply intelligent person may sit in a room and say very little, but inside, their mind is moving. Not always in a restless way. More like a quiet engine arranging details before the world knows there is anything to arrange. They are listening to tone, watching timing, catching patterns, connecting small details that other people walk past without noticing. They may not respond immediately, because they are not only hearing the words, they are weighing the meaning behind them. They are sensing what is missing. They are asking themselves why something feels off, even when everyone else seems comfortable. This is why deep intelligence is so often misunderstood. It does not always look like confidence. Sometimes, it looks like silence. It does not always look like speed. Sometimes, it looks like patience. It does not always look like having the loudest answer. Sometimes, it looks like noticing the question nobody else thought to ask. Here are the first habits of people with deep intelligence. Habit 1. They spend time alone to hear their own thoughts. For them, solitude is not loneliness. It is space. It is the place where their mind can stop adjusting to everyone else's noise. Around people, they may seem calm. They may even seem distant. But what others do not see is how much they are processing. A short conversation can give them more material than they know what to do with. A simple comment can stay in their mind for hours. A quiet moment alone lets everything settle into place. This is why people with deep intelligence need time away from constant stimulation. Not because they dislike people, not because they think they are better, but because their mind needs room to hear itself clearly. When they are alone, they can connect what they felt with what they noticed. They can turn confusion into understanding. They can return to the world less scattered, more grounded, and more aware of what matters. Habit 2. They notice patterns other people miss. Most people notice what happens once. A deeply intelligent person notices what keeps happening. They remember the tone someone uses whenever they feel threatened. They notice how certain problems repeat under different names. They see how one small habit can reveal the direction of an entire life. This can make them seem unusually perceptive, but it is not magic. It is attention. Their mind does not only collect moments, it studies repetition, and once they see a pattern, they cannot unsee it. That is why they often understand situations before the truth is spoken. And once a mind starts recognizing what keeps repeating, it also begins to ask questions most people avoid. Habit 3. They ask deeper questions than the moment requires. Some people hear a statement and accept it as it is. A deeply intelligent person hears the same sentence and begins looking for the roots beneath it. Why did they say it that way? What is the belief behind it? What problem keeps repeating underneath the obvious one? This does not mean they are trying to make everything complicated. It means their mind is not satisfied with the easy explanation when something deeper is clearly moving underneath. In a normal conversation, they may ask one question that suddenly changes the entire direction of the room. Not because they want to sound smart, but because they are trying to understand what is actually true. They are not chasing complexity for attention. They are following the thread until the hidden knot finally appears. And sometimes, this makes people uncomfortable, because deep questions can gently expose shallow answers. Habit 4. They pause before reacting. People often mistake fast reactions for intelligence. The quick reply, the sharp comeback, the immediate opinion. But deep intelligence does not always move that way. A deeply intelligent person may go quiet for a moment before they answer. They may look calm, distant, or difficult to read. But inside, their mind is sorting through more than one layer. What was said? What was meant? What should be answered? What should be left alone? The pause is not emptiness. It is processing. It is the small space between impulse and wisdom. That pause may have saved them from arguments they did not need, promises they should not make, and emotional reactions that would only create more damage. They are not slow. They are careful with the weight of their response. Habit 5. They change their mind when truth becomes clearer. This is one of the strongest habits of deep intelligence, and one of the most misunderstood. Most people treat their opinions like personal property. Once they own a belief, they defend it. Even when the evidence changes. Even when life shows them something different. But a deeply intelligent person is more interested in accuracy than ego. If new information appears, they do not see adjustment as humiliation. They see it as honesty. They can look back and say, I was wrong there. Not because they are weak, because they are still learning. From the outside, this can look inconsistent, but underneath, it is a mind that refuses to worship its past conclusions. It keeps updating. It keeps refining. It keeps choosing truth over the comfort of being right. If one of these first 5 habits already feels familiar, comment the number that describes you most. I want to know which one made you pause. But deep intelligence does not only change how a person thinks, it also changes what they hear, what they feel, and what they can no longer ignore. Habit 6. They listen for what people avoid saying. A normal conversation is not always normal to them. Someone answers too quickly. Someone laughs in the wrong place. Someone changes the subject right when the truth gets close. Most people let these moments pass. A deeply intelligent person feels the shape of what was avoided. They listen to the sentence, but they also listen to the silence around it. The hesitation before an answer, the careful smile after a hard question, the little shift in someone's voice when they are trying to sound fine. This is not because they want to expose people. It is because their mind naturally listens for the pressure behind the sentence. They understand that people often reveal themselves most clearly in what they cannot say directly, and that kind of listening can become heavy. Because once you hear what is hidden, you cannot return to hearing only words. Even a simple exchange can stay with them longer than expected, because their mind keeps replaying the emotional shape of it. Habit 7. They get tired of shallow repetition. Deeply intelligent people are not bored by simple things because they are arrogant. They are bored when life keeps asking them to pretend that nothing deeper exists. The same conversations, the same complaints, the same arguments that never reach the real issue. The same days filled with motion, but almost no meaning. At first, they try to participate. They smile. They respond. They give the expected answer. But something inside them slowly disconnects. Not because they dislike everyone around them, but because their mind needs challenge, honesty, and depth to feel alive. A predictable routine can be comforting for some people. For them, too much repetition can feel like a room with no windows. They need new ideas, real questions, conversations that open something instead of circling the same surface. Habit 8. They delay the work that matters most because they see its full weight. This habit can confuse them more than anyone else. They can finish small tasks quickly. They can solve other people's problems with surprising clarity. But when something truly matters, they may suddenly freeze. A book they want to write, a project that could change their life, a decision that would reveal what they are really capable of. They do not delay because they do not care. They delay because they care so much that the work becomes emotionally loud. Before they even begin, their mind can already see the standard, the flaws, the distance between what they imagine and what they might actually create. They can feel the size of the mountain before they take the first step. So, the work waits at the edge of starting, and every day it waits, it becomes heavier. This is not laziness. Sometimes, it is the burden of seeing too clearly. And when a person sees that much, even their self-doubt begins to look different. Habit 9. They question themselves more than people expect. From the outside, deep intelligence can look confident. People assume that if your mind is sharp, you must always feel certain, but the opposite is often true. A deeply intelligent person may carry more doubt than anyone realizes, not because they do not know enough, but because they understand how much they still do not know. They can see the missing context, the exception to the rule, the angle no one has considered yet, the quiet possibility that their first conclusion might be incomplete. So while other people rush to certainty, they may hesitate. They may revisit a decision after everyone else has moved on. They may replay a conversation, not to punish themselves, but to understand whether they missed something important. This can feel exhausting, because their mind does not settle easily for a simple answer, when the truth may have more than one side. Sometimes they envy people who can believe something completely and sleep without questioning it, but their mind does not work that way. It keeps opening the door again. It keeps checking whether the first answer was too simple. This kind of self-questioning is not weakness. It is a mind trying to stay honest. A mind that would rather be accurate than comfortable. Habit 10. They turn experience into insight. Some people go through life collecting memories. A deeply intelligent person collects meaning. They do not simply pass through an experience and leave it behind. They return to it later. They examine what it taught them. They ask why it affected them so deeply. They look for the pattern inside the pain, the lesson inside the mistake, the truth hiding inside what once confused them. This is why even difficult chapters can change them in unusual ways. They may become quieter, more careful, less impressed by appearances, more interested in what people reveal when life stops being easy. They are not trying to make everything philosophical. Their mind simply refuses to waste what it has lived through. A disappointment becomes a lesson in expectation. A betrayal becomes a lesson in discernment. A failure becomes a lesson in humility. A lonely season becomes a lesson in self-knowledge. And slowly, experience becomes something more than memory. It becomes perception. That is one of the clearest habits of deep intelligence. They do not only ask, "What happened to me?" They ask, "What did this show me?" And after years of questioning, noticing, and turning life into understanding, one final habit begins to shape the way they move through the world. Habit 11. They often feel slightly out of sync with the world. This does not always look dramatic. They may have friends. They may have a normal job. They may laugh, answer messages, sit at dinner tables, and do what life requires. But underneath it all, there can be a quiet feeling that they are experiencing things at a different depth than the people around them. It is not that they see themselves above everyone else. It is that the world often reaches them in layers other people do not seem to notice. They may care about questions other people move past quickly. They may feel out of place in moments where everyone accepts the easy version of things. They may notice contradictions that everyone else seems willing to ignore. Because what feels ordinary to others can feel unfinished to them. They are not searching for drama. They are searching for the part of life that feels real enough to stay with. They do not want more noise. They want more truth. And sometimes, they hide how much they are processing, because explaining it would take more energy than staying quiet. This is why deep intelligence can feel lonely. Not because intelligent people cannot connect, but because real connection requires more than being near someone. It requires someone who can stay when the conversation becomes real, meet honesty without running from it, and still ask what is underneath. Without that, they may feel surrounded and alone at the same time. And this is where all 11 habits come together. The person who needs solitude may be called distant. The person who pauses before speaking may be called cold. The person who asks deeper questions may be called intense. The person who changes their mind may be called inconsistent. The person who questions themselves may be called uncertain. The person who does not fit may be called difficult. But sometimes, these are not flaws. Sometimes, they are signs of a mind that processes life with unusual depth. Deep intelligence is not about feeling superior to everyone else. It is about being awake to more layers than you can easily explain. It is the way a person notices what others pass by, questions what others accept too quickly, listens for what is hidden beneath the words, and keeps changing as life teaches them more. If this video gave language to something you have felt for years, comment which habit stayed with you the most. Was it solitude, pattern recognition, deep questioning, self-doubt, or feeling out of sync with the world? Subscribe to Awaken Psychology for more videos about mental strength, hidden psychology, self-awareness, and the parts of your mind that are waiting to be awakened.